Guest on the show is someone today who has actually made the impossible look easy. He's managed to navigate Nestle India to a different height, and Nestle India now is part of the Nifty 50 Elite Club and is one of the fastest high margin growing FMCG business in India. But today he would be also joining us in a different capacity, in the capacity of Chairman of CII Food Processing Committee. Suresh, good evening to you and thank you for joining us. At the outset, here's hoping everyone is safe at home, your family and at Nestle.
Thank you, Nikunj. Thank you for having me on your show. It's a real pleasure, and thank you for your extremely kind words. But that is really attributable to my team, one of the finest teams that I'm very, very proud of leading for the last 5 years now. And yes, everyone is safe at home, and I do hope that at your end, Nikunj, everyone is safe and everyone is secure.
Yes, thank you very much. We are learning to live with interesting times. Work at home, I guess, is something which media never thought would adopt, but yes, we've adopted that. Suresh, let's talk about the impact of lockdown on the food processing industry. Some would argue and say that the food processing industry, it is an essential industry and that has got least affected.
Well, the food processing industry is clearly, it is in the center of what we call the essential goods and services. And the fact of the matter is that it is very difficult to survive without food. And I think the government has taken cognizance of that, and therefore numerous notifications have been issued by the Ministry of Food Processing, by the DPIIT, by the Ministry of Home Affairs, and by different entities to really try and within the ambit and construct of the lockdown that we are facing, to try and enable and facilitate the movements of raw materials, of finished products, and of people as best as can be. Nevertheless, I must say that the nature of the lockdown and the fact that it involved enormous amounts of logistical issues at the ground level. There have been some issues in terms of settling in. But I hasten to add, Nikunj, that I think with the seriousness of the government, both at the center and at the states, things are gradually but steadily improving in the last couple of days.
What has been your experience at Nestle about what has happened to immigrant labor, supply chain, raw material availability, inventory levels? I'm mincing a lot of things into one so that we get a big picture from you.
Sure. No, I think you've hit Nikunj, all the essentials, men, material, and really movements of goods and services. Let me take the first one, the people angle. I think the people angle is really something that is gradually improving. There has been, obviously, it is a human trait, and I think we have to be compassionate and we have to be also realistic about it. People are fearful, and it has taken some time. I must say, at Nestle, we have some very old factories of ours. Factory in Moga, which is I call it the flagship of our company, and the factories in Samalkha and other places. These have ramped up reasonably quickly, with, of course, a much lower level of workforce involvement. And that we are supporting as a company over 100,000 dairy farmers in Punjab, and it is a sacred responsibility of ours. We have been with them for the last 6 decades, and every single day we have been taking their milk and processing it. I'm delighted to say that even in this very difficult environment, we had enormously positive support from the Punjab government, from the Moga administration, and this really helped us collect every drop of milk that was given by these 100,000 farmers. So I'm very proud of this legacy of this company, of keeping its relationships, of keeping its trust, of valuing our commitments over a period of time. come hell or high water. And I think these are the poignant and the more really important moments during the terrible crisis that we are going through. However, in across the country, I can say that the workforce is ramping up, but the bigger issue really is being faced in terms of logistics. The availability of trucks and drivers was really extremely poor because most of them were stuck on the highways, and I think the turnaround time is really what has taken the efforts to kind of bring some of them back. Having said that, I think the position has definitely eased out in the last couple of days. We are seeing at least a 25 to 30% kind of coming in of the workforce at the distribution centers. Some of the trucks are also coming in. Our suppliers are now ramping up. They were also completely kind of atrophied in this lockdown, so they are coming back to play. And I'm seeing slowly but steadily, Nikunj, an improvement on this side as well. On the retailing front, I think the improvement has been also gradual. There are some parts of the country where there has been a fairly strict lockdown, which means that the retail shopping hours have been drastically reduced. Also, the number of people coming into the shops with the social distancing and with the safety aspects that are also being hygiene aspects that are also being taken into account. The footfalls have come down, and I think at a retail level, it will take some more time for us to get back into any semblance of at least partial normalcy. But I must say that a lot of proactive work has been done, both from the point of view of local state governments, from the point of view of the central government, bodies like the CII and others who have also been very constantly in dialogue. And I must say that, and I say this in all sincerity, Nikunj, the atmosphere and the response has been very positive. I think this is a very difficult crisis, and under the circumstances, I think we are improving, not just as a company, but also, I must say, that as a food processing industry.
Now, Suresh, the economy has seen both supply side shock and demand side shock. Supply side shock can be contained because factories will soon start working once the lockdown or the partial lockdown kicks in. But what about the demand side? When do you think the demand side, lever for the economy would kick in?
Look, the way I look at it, Nikunj, is I'm no soothsayer in this. I think the demand side has been impacted quite significantly. The fact of the matter is that there are all the fears that people have in terms of job losses, in terms of the state of industry, and the fact that this has cost quite a bit economically. But I think it was important that the country protect the lives first before livelihood, at least up to a certain stage, which is what the Honorable Prime Minister very clearly articulated. So I see this as a gradual process, Nikunj. I don't see this as a classic V that it'll suddenly bounce back and it'll sharply go back to what it was. I think the fears and the degree of circumspection is fairly high. There will be a hesitancy in doing some of the things that people have done for long, whether it is in their shopping habits, whether it is in their entertainment habits, whether it is in their eating habits. The rural sector, very well about. I think there has been a lot of distress there as well. The positive feature is that I believe that we are in for a terrific Rabi crop. So therefore, that will certainly ease some of the issues around food inflation. And also the government is taking some proactive steps in terms of some of the agri inputs, in terms of at least the movement of agri equipment for harvesting of the crops. I think that's a very, very good step that is being taken, together with some steps that could be taken around the migrant labor, which is a little bit more it is more difficult, and I think it will take some time because people are fearful at the moment. So enormous amount of patience and also propagation of information, maybe issuing of e-passes, and employers also giving the assurance that they're taking the right steps as far as segregation, distancing, hygiene is concerned. And I think with this, the demand situation will start to come back. But I'm seeing more a U, Nikunj, than really a V, because it is quite an impact, and I think it will take time for it to get fully digested.
Okay, just a very basic follow-up question. We hear that there are instances of shortage of food products. There is mass hoarding which is happening. And if one works with an assumption that lockdown or full lockdown will not be over for next 2 weeks, as a representative of food industry, can you share with us that what is the on-ground situation when it comes to essentials, food, milk, other basic supplies?
You see, it's a very good question, Nikunj. I would only firstly like to reiterate that if there is an improvement in the supply chain situation that I talked about earlier, there is absolutely no need to fear any shortage. I don't think in the food processing industry, which employs almost 7 million people, that there is any paucity that we are facing either in terms of men or material. I think most of us have willingly and I think as a measure of enormous caution, reduce the footprint that we are working with. As a company, I can tell you, Nikunj, Nestle has taken a very conscious move to cut it by half, so that we are able to work within the norms that are required to maintain some of the practices on distancing and others that we stand to. I really don't see that this is more, it is kind of an enormous shake-up that has happened. It is inevitable that in a shake-up of the kind that we are facing, there will be pockets where there would be some shortages taking place. I don't think this should be endemic. There is no reason to be. Plus, of course, in certain categories, there has been enormous amount of panic buying. There would really not be much of a necessity for panic buying once some of the challenges in the retail space with our e-commerce and also with our organized trade elements, once they start settling in a bit, which has also started, I don't see that there should be any need for the kind of panic that has been demonstrated. It is understandable, Nikunj. I'm not trying to complain about it, but at the same time, I think there is no reason to believe, as an industry and as a committed group of people who are here to serve the consumers, that there will be any need for the kind of panic buying that has taken place.
Okay. Now, Nestle is a company which does not need introduction in terms of principles and the ethos it follows. But Nestle is also known for innovation and automation. What to your mind could be the new normal for Nestle or for the food processing industry? One side you got to show care and concern for the labor, and on the other side you need to automate and do cost cutting. How would you balance it? Because ultimately you are a listed company and you have to protect both your value and your profits and ratios.
Look, I think, Nikunj, is a very good question, and I go back to the fundamental purpose and values of this organization. It has been around enhancing quality of life and enabling a healthier future for our consumers. We have a very strong position, a very trustworthy position, not only as far as our brands are concerned, but also in terms of our dealings, in terms of our behaviors, our ethics, and the other standards that we live up to for all these years. So while it is important that the returns to investors is also looked at in this extreme crisis that we're facing, my first responsibility as the head of this company, as the head of this Nestle family, is to protect my family. I think it's an important task for me. I take it upon not just as a human duty, but also as a moral duty. So I stand by my people, and what I have really requested them is that, look, I'm not here to take your jobs. I don't want to take anybody's jobs. Even during the Maggie crisis, I never retrenched anyone. I think for me, a job is not just an income, it is self-respect of the human. And I have no business whatsoever to trample on that if I can avoid it. So there are various cost mitigation strategies that we'll be taking into account. Like many in the industry, we will face pressures on both the top line and the bottom line in this situation. But I think the company and my team are extremely wise and extremely cooperative. And also the level of trust between us is high, so that we will come around and we will continue to come back even after this crisis. I keep telling my team that just as we did after the Maggie crisis, we came back strong. This time also we will come back strong. So I am not balancing myself one in favor of the other. The investor is important, and also the employee and the people and the larger community. You know, the initiatives that Nestle has taken has been all around. We have not just looked at making our own humble and heartfelt contributions of 150 million rupees towards areas of feeding, of purchase of PPEs and other equipment. We've also looked at ensuring each of my frontline distributor salesmen. I mean, these are people that we tend to forget. They are human beings. They also have families, and they are going out each day to sell the products of the company. So they are being insured against any COVID-related issues, also as part of what the company is doing. It's called Nestle Suraksha. In addition to that, we have Nestle Samman, which is to recognize and to honor all our operators. You know, these are valiant operators across our factories coming to a national cause. I think it's important in this time that all of us rally around as Indians, as proud Indians, to come around and to do the best that we can. So these people are doing their jobs, and I think I'm here to support them as well. I talked about the 100,000 farmers. These are sacred. These are important. These are relationships over 60 years. Some of them even call their house as Nestle House. So there is an enormous amount of connect with these people as well. I cannot betray them. I will not betray them. So I think in overall terms, I'm looking at a multifaceted approach to ensure that we keep the ship afloat, that the ship goes from strength to strength, that we take the right measures, we take the right steps, we do it calmly, we do it with a lot of professionalism, with a lot of dignity, and we ensure that we always have, as human beings and as professionals, hope in our heart that this too we will survive, and this too we will come out of.
I'm sure all of us will come out. Okay, so let's talk about what is the definition of new normal. You know, I've been tracking Nestle for years now, and I've always appreciated the fact that Nestle has managed to add up the value, has managed to move up the value chain, whether it's milk, whether it's bakery, whether it's other products, which means that you've been betting on the rising Indian consumerism. Now that there is going to be a crunch and luxury could become necessity, how do you think Indian consumer behavior for next couple of years will move? Will it change permanently, or do you think there is going to be a slowdown and ultimately we will be back on track?
You see, let me take the. It's a very good question, Nikunj. Let me take the few things. I mean, again, these are early days. I'm not a savant to be able to see exactly how the future is going to pan out. But let me take 2 or 3 things that are going to be the same. Number one is consumers' love for brands. I don't think consumers are going to start hating brands simply because they exist. Number 2, trust in quality and food safety in my industry is important, and that is something that will be at the center of making the consumer choices. And number 3, products which are efficacious, which are giving better nutrition. I think these are also going to become extremely important. So, love for brands, the trustworthiness and the quality and safety of brands are going to be important, even more important. And number 3 is what nutrition, what benefits do brands offer. These 3 things I do not think are going to change in the industry. Nobody is going to walk away from any of these positions, and these are also the areas which Nestle as a company is wedded to. This is what has made us a global company in the 154 years of our existence. What is likely to change? Maybe some of the categories, between in-home and out-of-home, there could be a change there. That one is seeing. Some of the concern areas that consumers voice over a period of time, those can change. The nature and texture of premiumization could also change. Premiumization will remain, but premiumization will be of a different kind. So I think that's where